A complete reset in the race for president with sweeping implications for both parties and other candidates who will appear on the ballot in November.
One of those candidates is Prince George's County Executive Angela Alsobrooks, the Democrat running to replace Maryland Senator Ben Cardin. Ms. Alsobrooks is with us from Washington. Thanks so much for joining us.
Well, thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, good to have you. Hey, I wanted to start right with this. We know that you were on a historic Zoom call led by 44,000 black women, raising over $1 million in support of Kamala Harris on an emotional level here. What was it like to see so many women collectively come together in that moment?
Oh my God, it was exhilarating. It really was. What an exciting day we had yesterday, and the energy on the call was electric. The women are focused and ready. 44,000 women came together really in 24 hours or less, organized by Joteka and a number of other women who are all in to make sure that we work hard to elect Kamala Harris as our next president of the United States, that we support her as the soon-to-be nominee of our party. And it's a wonderful day for women everywhere, celebrating the fact that we can have, for the second time in our country's history, a woman as a nominee for president of our country. So it's a really exciting time for us. And that call was emotional. We were crying on the call. There was excitement, there was joy. And there's a real sense of purpose and unity moving forward. And we are feeling that all over today.
So do you think that there's actually more enthusiasm for a Harris-led ticket than with Joe Biden? And do you think that that will help your campaign and other women, specifically in Maryland running for Congress, women like April Delaney and Sarah Elfreth?
Well, let me first make one thing clear. Everyone on the call last night and the people I've spoken with even today love and appreciate President Joe Biden. And so we were all very excited to support his candidacy. I was. We are now excited after he has also endorsed Vice President Harris, and we're now all 1,000% behind her. And I can tell you that I believe that unity is happening all across our party, not just in Maryland. It's happening, as you have seen it unfold today, across the country. Democrats are going to be united. We're going to be united behind our nominee, who will be Vice President Kamala Harris, and I'm going to be moving to make sure we keep the Senate blue. Nobody knows better than Vice President Harris the importance of having the majority remain in Democratic hands, that the party that has the majority controls the agenda. And so I am working feverishly and will continue to work across our state to make sure that Maryland remains blue and that we keep the Senate in Democratic hands. The majority, the 51st vote, is the question that we're answering in Maryland. Who should have the 51st vote, which party? We have two differing visions, and this election is about the future. It's about our freedoms, and I believe that we are going to, in Maryland, decide to keep the Senate in the hands of the Democratic Party.
Well, I wanted to just really double down on what you're saying right now, because your campaign, as you've touched on, is really framing this race as a battle for the 51st senator. As you said, who's going to win the Senate majority? You know, do you think Maryland will handily, be able to decide this?
Oh, I absolutely do. I have great confidence in Marylanders. We have a very sophisticated electorate in Maryland. They are engaged, they're paying attention, they recognize that choice is an issue that is important not only to the women of our state and country, but to the men who want to know that their daughters and granddaughters will have the privacy and freedom to make decisions about their body. They understand about gun violence, and that the Democratic Party has a plan to make sure that we're removing ghost guns and those AR-15s from our streets. They know as well that the Supreme Court is in the balance, that we have 2 to 3 new nominees that will be confirmed by this Senate. And we know that these conservative justices, the same ones that rolled back Roe, decided this immunity case, this Chevron decision to really dampen regulations and to harm our climate. These are the issues that are at stake right now. And I know Marylanders will decide that given the future that we are facing, that the Democratic Party's agenda is one that is most in line with the values of most Marylanders who want to protect voting rights and want economic opportunity. These are the values of the Democratic Party. And I know that Marylanders will not agree to the national ban that the Republican Party is interested in, or curtailing voting rights.
Well, we know that there's a lot of concern among the electorate. We know that there's a lot of concern among the electorate, especially Democrats, for the possibility of a 7-2 conservative court. I want to ask about your opponent, Larry Hogan. He was sitting right across from me here last week. He said that you would be a, quote, rubber stamp for Democrat policies and that he wouldn't be for Republican policies. A two-part question here. Do you believe him? And then are there areas where you don't necessarily agree with the Democratic Party?
No, I don't believe Larry Hogan. I don't think anyone can. And in fact, you can hear from his own words. He said very recently, when questioned about whether he would vote with the Republican caucus, he said, absolutely. I'm a lifelong Republican. And we know that Larry Hogan would be voting lockstep with his Republican caucus because he was invited into the race by Mitch McConnell after having said for months and months that he had no interest whatsoever in the Senate. He said that he had no burning desire to serve in the Senate, and then said, oh, well, Mitch McConnell has encouraged him and he was persuaded to do so. And so a rubber stamp, we know that Larry Hogan is a person also who said that he would not speculate about about voting to codify in federal law a woman's right to choose. The same person who vetoed important abortion care legislation in our state, and then, bless his heart, said he's now pro-choice. And so he has shifted over and over again. But we do know one thing: he will vote lockstep with this Republican caucus because he was invited into the race by Mitch McConnell and was endorsed by Donald Trump, who said he did so because they wanted to gain the majority in the Senate. And that's exactly what he would do: confirm their conservative Supreme Court justices. He would help them to impanel chairs of committees like Lindsey Graham over the Judiciary Committee. And he has a record that supports much of what his party supports. He is a Republican and will be voting with them. And so he's the person who will be voting lockstep with that party. And I will be supporting democratic values, including choice, the freedom to choose, and gun safety and other things that he does not support.
All right, Ms. Alsobrooks, I did want to ask you, we know your friendship with the vice president spans well over a decade. You've both been top prosecutors, you've campaigned with her. What was it like on an emotional level to endorse her?
You know what, I am so proud of Vice President Harris. I do know her. I've known her now for over a decade. I know that she's smart and she's principled and she's hardworking, and she would be a fabulous president of the United States. We share many values, including the fact that we believe that our kids should be safe and our families should be safe. We both worked as prosecutors and saw firsthand the devastation of violence in our families, which is why we both support sensible gun legislation. It's the reason that we both support making sure that all of our families are safe and that we grow economic opportunity. So many issues, but she's a person who I have great confidence in, and I'm very proud of her and excited to support her.
County Executive, you've been very generous with your time. Just one last question for you. Your opponent has agreed to do 2 debates. Do you intend to debate Larry Hogan?
I absolutely intend to debate Larry Hogan. Yes, I do.
Okay, so there are 2 debates on the calendar right now that he has agreed to. Are you committing to both of those?
Our team is working out the details regarding which debate we agree to, but we will absolutely be participating in the traditional televised debate that is occurring, and those details will be released soon.
All right, County Executive Angela Alsobrooks, we certainly appreciate your time tonight. Thank you.
Thank you so much.